the church in Thyatira write, "The Son of God, who has eyes like a flame of fire, and his feet are like burnished bronze, says this: I know your deeds and your love and faith and service and perseverance, and that your deeds of late are greater than at first. But I have this against you, that you tolerate the woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, and she teaches and leads my bondservants astray, so that they commit acts of immorality and eat things sacrificed to idols. And I will give them the morning star. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches."
And to the angel of the church in Smyrna write, "The first and the last who was dead and has come to life says this: I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich, and the blasphemy by those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do not fear what you are about to suffer. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. He who overcomes shall not be hurt by the second death." In the book of Revelations is recorded letters from Jesus to the 7 churches in Asia. As a youth group, we were challenged with the question, what would Jesus say to our church? Here's what we as individuals want to say to Believers Baptist.
So I've been asked to talk about the great things about this church and a little bit of my concerns personally. The great things are, ever since I've been going here, it's been a great blessing that these people in this church have showed me to grow, and to the lessons I've learned from our pastor, from the people, the great leaders in this church. Got through a lot of things, and it's a good community within the church, very supportive. It's the people in here do all kinds of things for each other, and it's probably one of the best churches that I've experienced in my life so far. A little bit of concern from me personally would be, I think we need a little more people. We need to bring more people in to do things and to grow our church, to get people saved. More people saved, bring them in to get them involved. We need more young couples, more families. We need more children's groups that can come in and learn and grow just like I did, and I'm still growing and learning. People are stepping up. They're doing things that the pastor used to have to do, and other people, and now that people are taking care of it, and I know that's a big relief off of him. He's led this church very well, and I think those are the only concerns, and if we do get big enough and have more people in here, we could maybe move our building to a greater location. But overall, very good experience in this church.
To the angel of the church in Ephesus write, "The one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, the one who walks among the 7 golden lampstands says this: I know your deeds and your toil and perseverance, and that you cannot endure evil men. And you put to the test those who call themselves apostles, and they are not, and you found them to be false. And you have perseverance, and have endured for my name's sake, and have not grown weary."
Okay, we're talking about letters to the church in our class, since we were asked to write one. And for my praise, I said that we do a really good job musically. We have a lot of talented people on stage, to the point where I don't want to get up in the mornings and go to church, because I'm just no. But when I get there and the music's playing, I just don't want to leave. To the point where I can get chills on a certain song, or it can even push the entire congregation to its feet, and clapping and hands raised and hallelujahs. Some criticism that I have, or some concerns that I have, are that new families aren't always fully welcomed, especially if they don't have any ties to the church. They smile and a wave and a hug during greeting, but they don't really get invited to church happenings or anything like that. And I also think the youth group really needs to be more into church happenings, because we're kind of a fallback for when people don't show up. But I think we're really good when we're necessary, and I think we should be used more often. But overall, I think we're doing a fantastic job, and we just really need to target the 20-something-year-olds, because that's the age group you really don't see that are Christians very much anymore. But like I said, overall, I think we're doing a fantastic job.
to the church at Believers Baptist. As a member of your congregation, I want to say how thankful I am to be a part of your fellowship. You are a very warm and loving group of people. You encourage the sick, the lonely, the disheartened. I believe you hold firmly to the truth as revealed in the Word of God. Your worship is sincere, beautiful, and lively. Your respect for those who lead you is clearly demonstrated. If I could wish for one improvement, it would be to have an effective and consistent evangelical ministry. I would love to see more people delivered from Satan's kingdom into God's, and to see their lives changed for the good. I believe the will and the love are there in you to do so, maybe just not the initiative. Please pray with me to seek God's direction in reaching the lost with this gospel.
Dear Church, I praise you for being a church that welcomes newcomers with a smile and open arms. I remember the first Sunday I came. I was extremely impressed and awestruck by how many people came to say hello and introduce themselves. While we are very welcoming, we do not go out to find new people to bring as much as I feel that we should. In today's world, finding new people willing to come to church is not easy, but I strongly believe that we are not doing it as fervently as we should. As a church, we should be actively seeking how God wants us to go out and make disciples of all nations. We should be out there as a door or passageway for God to bring salvation through the gospel. We are most definitely getting better about this, but there will always be work to be done.
So in youth class, we've been going through the book of Revelation. We just gone through the first chapter right now, where Jesus tells John to write to the 7 different churches. And Marla tasked us to do the same. She told us to write a letter to you guys, the church. And in the letters that Jesus tells John to write, we see a certain pattern throughout all of them. And that either Jesus kind of praises in a way the good things that the church is doing, and kind of reminds one of the things they're failing in or not doing right or doing wrong, honestly. And so it's basically, we're trying to do that too as well. Our church, we're awesome in fellowship, I can tell you that much. Since the first day I joined here, it's been non-stop, just enjoyment of you guys. I've definitely loved just getting to talk to every single one of you. Some of you just kind of come up and hug me sometimes. It just kind of takes me back, because, you know, back then I wasn't used to that kind of thing. And then now I've just been here for several years now. I just love it every time. We also, we know we got a very good worship team here, and I'm part of it too. So time and time again, there's always moments throughout the worship part of the service that I'll get just chills, just not simply the music being played, but just being able to see everybody out in the congregation and just hearing everybody singing, and not just singing from their lips, but singing from their heart and singing it to Jesus. And that just kind of gives me so much joy every time, even the Sundays where I don't want to get up, I just want to stay there and just sleep because I'm just tired, or I'm just not feeling good, or whatever it may be. That just uplifts my spirit. I just really enjoy that. I really love that about our church here. Some of the things I know we need to work on, and I've taken this personally as being part of a leadership team, and having to work this with all of you in the church, is in that we do need to work on evangelizing other people, going out to the world and bringing those to know Christ. And I know we have it in us. I know it's possible, because just simply from all the testimonies of everybody that's there in the church. They have such unique testimonies that I've never heard from any other churches, honestly. And I know we have that ability. It's just we need to actually become active in doing that and actually going out and seeing people. And I do believe God is starting to work through that through the church, especially with the young members. They're getting ideas, they're getting all these different things they want to start doing. I believe it's going to slowly but eventually ramp up pretty quick, honestly. And I think God is going to definitely bless that. And just encouragement is we got to keep going no matter what. When there's times we really want to do stuff, we just got to keep on going forward. So.
If Jesus were to write a letter to our church, what do you think he would say?
I think Jesus would probably say, work on not bending to the will of humanity and society and their demands of you, and stay the course through his word and the truth, so you could still be a shining light to this population.
If you were to write a letter to our church, what would you say?
I would say our church probably needed to search within themselves to make sure we are the brightest light to shine for an example of Christ to the world. So we could show them what right truly looked like, and not just we could have an answer when they came to us with wrong answers or misconceptions.
What do you think Jesus would say if he were to write a letter to our church today?
I think that he would say, he would compliment us about our members' faithfulness to always attend and that be loyal to the things that we do. But I also think that he would encourage us to remember to evangelize more. I think that should be our first goal as Christians, to win other people to him. So I think that he would definitely try to encourage us to gear our efforts more to focusing on that.
What would you say if you were to write a letter to our church?
If I were to write a letter to the church, I think that I too would say that about evangelism, of course, because growing up in the family I did, my dad was very evangelistic minded, and so that's kind of how I tend to lean toward too. But I would also, doing VBS this year, just applaud everyone for their willingness to always help in everything that we decide to take on as a church, or every venture that we decide to do. I mean, it's more than just one person doing it by themselves. It's really our entire body who's willing to help in any way that they can. And so I would definitely thank them for doing that. And most churches, you would walk in, and to do a VBS, you would have to beg and plead and stuff. So seeing the willingness for people, I mean, even if it's last minute, to help with whatever they can is really encouraging. I think that anyone who would walk through the door can definitely see that we love each other here, and that it's more of a family setting. And I realize 3/4 of us are probably all related anyhow, so maybe that's why it's like that. But just the fact that it is a big family, and it's not political or dramatic. Everyone genuinely loves others, and I think that that's really, it makes it a great place to be.
If you were Jesus, what do you think he would say to our church?
I think that he would remind us that we may have lost part of our first love, and that he would encourage us to search for it, to bring it back, and it would affect our lives and our looking forward, I think.
Okay. What would you say to our church?
I would say that one of the things that we need to do most right now is to make a very concentrated effort to hear what he's saying to us through the Spirit and the things that he's leading us into the ministries in this area.
So, if Jesus wrote a letter to Believers Baptist Church, what do you think it would say? Good and bad?
I think if Jesus were looking into our church, he would see that we have a strong family of believers who are united, and we're very welcoming, I think. And we have so much talent and worship with our whole hearts and just sing praises to him. But I think we would also see that there is some joyfulness missing in our hearts as a whole. I think we are serving the Lord and participating in events and activities and commitments such as small groups and Wednesday night classes, but maybe not with joyfulness in our heart. I think as a whole we need to do more because I have to. And I think there's just a little sleepy and we need to ignite that fire, and I think he desires that for us, and we should desire to have that fire for him too.
So what would you write if you were going to write a letter to our church? What would you say exactly? I mean, we can see what God would want, but what do you think would be more of an issue, or a different issue, maybe, on your personal
I feel like our church has developed some cliques and groups, and there's not a lot of blending of those boundaries. The youth group is their circle,
right.
Their group. Children's ministers, small groups. There's missing some blending of those boundaries. I would love to see, the people who come on Wednesday nights. I would love to see them on Sunday mornings. The people who come to small groups, I would love to see them on Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights. Just, I think personally for me, that's my biggest.
And I would add to that, like you said, everybody has their own groups, and it's kind of like age. It's kind of like what they like. And I think that's what happens in bigger churches that you see. You have all these different people that come together, which is great, but they're not helping the older folks or the younger kids or whatever. And that can tear them apart, and I just don't want us to grow and get to that making sense.
We are a family, but I think the sense of family needs to be stronger, and can be, and has been.
If Jesus were to write a letter to our church, what do you think he would say?
I think Jesus would say that we have a pastor that is a man of God, that is a good teacher, that he has all true believers sit in the pews each Sunday. That he knows that we're saved and we're a Christian church, and then he would start admonishing for the things that we don't do as good Christians. I think among them would be, probably first and foremost, would be going out
into the community,
and passing on his word to get more souls, lost souls into this church. And not necessarily this church, but into the Christian world, into Christ.
If you were going to write a letter to our church, what would you write?
If I was going to write a letter
to our church.
My letter would be a little different, because I'd be so thankful I have this church.